This time on episode 244 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss Deadpool 2, weekly Marvel News Roundup, and your feedback.
I'm Lee from Just One More Fix, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. Just like the show you're listening to now, the opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by director Alfonso Mack Mackenzie. Stand by for a S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. director.
Now it's time for your much anticipated schedule debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show's recorded on Sunday, June 3rd, 2018, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios aboard any number of helicarriers. We're not going to tell you which one, and broadcast galactic-wide via www.geeks.live. Ladies, this is an important one. Happy National Cancer Survivor Day.
I can't really make any jokes about this one. That one's an important one.
It is. It is. So happy. If you know somebody or yourself are a cancer survivor, congratulations. And this is your day. Okay. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is heading into its 6th season in the summer of 2019, a year from now. The multiple Marvel's Defenders series on Netflix, until Disney streaming service is available and takes all those series off. Legion on FX. Congratulations to Legion for their 3rd season pickup. Possibly, if we can get to it, The Gifted on Fox, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Marvel comic and comic book universes in general.
Because luck is a superpower.
If you'd like to talk to us about how luck is a superpower, you can visit our website, legendsofshield.com.
If you'd like to talk to us about, being lucky and getting lucky and all that, you can leave us a voicemail at 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
You can tell us about your lucky superpowers on our Facebook page at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can find us at Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
You can tell your Amazon device to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill. And we are deliberately not saying the Amazon device's name right now because we don't want to turn it on or off, whatever. We don't want it to tell it to do things.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
Even though they're probably not proud to have us, what with the lucky and turning things on and whatnot.
Once again, not me. Send your hate mail to Haley at GonnaGeek.com.
Yep, go ahead. I won't read it.
We're going to move on into our discussion on Deadpool 2 in just a second. But before we get there, last weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and Lauren was our podcast and network representative to go to the Comicpalooza convention in Houston. So, Lauren, can you give us a little tidbit of what went down?
So it was kind of a comedy of errors for me. I missed out on a couple of the panels that I really wanted to bring you, namely the Charlie Cox and Kristen Ritter ones. My batteries ran out in like the first 10 minutes of the Tom Holland panel, but I did get a couple of good stories there. I did manage to live tweet the whole thing. Sorry for blowing up y'all's phones, other agents and director. And I also recorded the interview with Ruth E. Carter, the costume designer for Black Panther. Fingers crossed, we may get an interview. I also left my card with some people. We'll see if any of those pan out. We may have more information about all of those at a later date. Keep your ears on this feed.
Indeed, please do. We will come out with as much information about Comicpalooza as we can. And thank you very much to the podcast partnership program for allowing Lauren to participate. And now with that, we're going to move on into our main event. It came out a couple weeks ago, but we're just talking about it today. We had a holiday in there and we had, well, other things going on, but the Deadpool 2 movie, the much anticipated Deadpool 2 movie has come out. We have all seen it. We're going to talk about it. And to get a general sense of it, we're going to talk about that title. So, Haley, what do you got for us this week?
Well, in the time-honored tradition of being too lazy to come up with a name for the sequel, they decided to call this one 2.
And that's pretty much it, right, Lauren?
Actually, it is. Yes.
So for once, Haley is correct. So congratulations
I'm always
for
correct.
doing your homework, Miss Buzz Lightyear. That still cracks me up on that.
What?
You don't remember? You were saying the reason why Avengers Infinity War were there was to go to Infinity and Beyond.
I don't think that's right. That doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound like something I'd say.
We can go to the tape and totally catch you saying that.
Nah, I don't listen to this podcast.
All right, so we'll do that later to prove Haley wrong. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the producer for this movie. Michelle, who did it?
This film was produced by Simon Kinberg, has 34 production credits starting in 2007. Notable projects include X-Men First Class, Elysium, X-Men Days of Future Past, Cinderella, Chappie, Fantastic Four, The Martian, Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, Logan, Murder on the Orient Express, Two of the Gifted, Star Wars Rebels, Designated Survivor, Deadpool 2, Legion. Future projects include X-Men Dark Phoenix, The New Mutants, Gambit, 355, X-Force, Untitled Star Wars Boba Fett Project, Multiple Man, Logan's Run. Simon has 17 writing credits as well, including Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Sherlock Holmes, X-Men Days of Future Past, Fantastic Four, X-Men Apocalypse, Star Wars Rebels, and X-Men Dark Phoenix.
So not exactly a Kevin Feige, but close as you're going to get to it over on Fox, wouldn't you say?
Pretty much.
And might I say The Martian, and this, I believe I've been seeing in the news that there are rumors that he's been approached for the Boba Fett project. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that because I think he'd do a great job judging by his experience on Star Wars Rebels. Okay, so with Simon being the main producer, there of course are other producers with the project, right, Michelle?
Yes, executive producers include Stan Lee, Jonathan Comac-Martin, Kelly McCormick, Ethan Smith, Adita Sood, and Paul Wernick. Producers include Ryan Reynolds, Lauren Shuler-Donald, and another executive producer is Rhett Reese.
So question, Stan Lee is listed as an executive producer as he is for most Marvel-based comic book movies. After he has passed, is he still going to get those executive producer credits?
I
don't know how the union works.
Yeah, I don't either. That's why.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, we're going to talk about something very fun. Haley, who directed this episode?
David Leitch took over for directing after T.J. Miller was no longer the directing.
Tim Miller.
Sorry.
T.J. Miller is someone else.
Right. Tim Miller. My bad. Anyways, David Leitch has largely been a stuntman. He has 82 credits starting in 1995, including Seventh Heaven, Blade, Chips 99, 19 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Scrubs. He's been Brad Pitt's stunt double in several things, including Ocean's 11 and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He was also working on Daredevil, The Matrix Reloaded, Seabiscuit, Constantine, Underworld Evolution, 300, Speed Racer, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, Angels and Demons, The Hangover, Tron Legacy, The Bourne Legacy, and Jupiter Ascending. And then he transitioned into being a second unit director or assistant director. He has 19 credits doing that, including the 2011 Conan the Barbarian, The Wolverine, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2014 movie, Jurassic World, and Captain America Civil War, and finally stepped up to the big directing chair in 1997, and he has 7 credits doing that, including John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2.
So, a couple things. He has experience with Stephen Amell, so that's pretty cool. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and also starting off as a stuntman in Seventh Heaven. What the heck did Seventh Heaven need with a stuntman?
I don't know, like people get hit by cars and stuff sometimes.
Falling downstairs.
That's pretty dark. For Seventh Heaven?
Yeah, that was like a huge thing. Jessica Biel's character got hit by a car and injured her knee, and it ruined her basketball career.
I did not know that. Good to know.
I can't believe you didn't watch Seventh Heaven.
No, I did not watch a single episode of Seventh Heaven.
I saw a lot of episodes of Seventh Heaven.
And I think, based on what has happened with the cast afterwards, I don't think the Hallmark Channel is going to pick that one up.
They were running reruns for a long time.
They were. And then.
And then some stuff happened.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on from that. First of all, what an amazing career path right there, from going from stuntman to second unit director, which is a lot of the stunts and stuff like that, to actually directing some really big Hollywood flicks with John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2. So congratulations, David, for making that transition. And thank you, because I definitely enjoyed this film and I'm looking forward to your future projects. Now, Lauren, David had a couple of writers, actually 3 writers, help him out with this episode.
The first one is Rhett Reese, who has 21 writing credits. A lot of them are additional story material written by, screenplay by, including Disney's Dinosaur and Monsters, Inc. way back in the day. Oh, and Tarzan 2. Also, Cruel Intentions 3. Invasion, Iowa, he was the series creator. Zombieland, written by. G.I. Joe Retaliation. Did I say Zombieland? He also worked on Deadpool and Deadpool No Good Deed, which is a short. And also Deadpool 2. And he will be working on Zombieland 2. And I guess the upcoming Clue reboot.
Aww.
There's going to be a Zombieland 2?
Yep. And the Clue reboot currently has Ryan Reynolds as the sole cast member. So there's that.
I hope he's the entire cast.
Yeah, we also have Paul Wernick, who has 12 producer credits and 15 writing credits, starting with Living the Dream as the concept in 2004. He did a lot of creator stuff, including Invasion, Iowa. His first actually written by is Zombieland, and Deadpool, and Life in 2017, which was a horror movie on the ISS that also had Ryan Reynolds, and Deadpool 2. He's also a producer on things like Big Brother, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, Zombieland, Deadpool 2.
Yeah, both Paul and Rhett grew up kind of in the reality TV, so I'm not surprised. They called him producer. It's really weird how Hollywood deals with the reality TV, because they're actually either crafting stories or they're flat out writing stuff.
Yeah. Reality TV is pretty much anything but, in most cases. And the third writer, this is his sole writing credit, Ryan Reynolds.
I wonder how much script contribution he had and how much just ad lib that they took from him and said, well, okay, we'll give him writing credit. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, that is the question. I know there seems to be some evidence based on some new stuff that we'll go into later that he had at least some hand in actually writing the script.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
And of course, it is based on the character created by Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza, who both kind of take their lumps in the movie.
A lot of people take their lumps.
The 90s was a weird time in comics, y'all.
Oh, what? I mean, Marvel basically went bankrupt in the late 90s, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and everybody got their own comic book series in the 90s. They relaunched everything.
So many pouches. So many pouches. All hollow foil covers.
And no feet.
So not exactly an A-list casting all the way through the main cast here. I guess Ryan Reynolds can be considered A-list cast, but the rest of the cast is not typical leading people, but it was a fun cast. It was a great movie. And so we're going to go through the cast. So we're going to start off with, of course, Ryan Reynolds, who played Wade Wilson, also known as Deadpool. And by the way, he voiced Juggernaut.
I was wondering who voiced Juggernaut. Okay. We also have Josh Brolin as Cable.
Thanos returns.
Yes.
Yes. Morena Baccarin was back as Vanessa for a little bit.
Julian Dennison as Fire Fist.
TJ Miller came back to direct the film. No, he reprised his role as Weasel.
For probably the final time. Zazie Beetz returned. Well, no. Zazie Beetz debuted as Domino.
Leslie Uggams was back as Blind Owl.
Karen Sony as Dopinder.
Yay. Brianna Hildebrand is back as Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
And I love her.
Yes.
Jack Kesey as Black Tom.
Eddie Marson as Headmaster.
Randall Reeder played Buck.
Shioli Kutsuna as Yukio.
Stefan Kapicic as the voice as the voice of Colossus. I got Colossus and Juggernaut confused for a second.
Nikolai Witchell as Head Orderly Fry.
Thayer Harris played Sergei, played what? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he played.
He played Sergei Volishnikov.
Rob Delaney played Peter.
Louis Tan was Shatterstar.
Bill Skarsgård was Zeitgeist.
Terry Crews played Bedlam. That was awesome.
Brad Pitt played Vanisher.
Paul Wu was the Hong Kong boss.
Robert Mallet Sluggo. Mallier Sluggo.
Alan Tudyk played Luke, as credited in an IMDb as Redneck Number 1.
Matt Damon played, also credited on IMDb, Redneck Number 1, as Dickie Greenleaf.
The writer, Paul Wernick, was one of the news cameramen.
Rhett Reese, another writer, was news helicopter pilot.
And the director, David Leitch, played the Ground Church Mutant. So the writers and the directors had actual acting credits in this film. Now we're going to transition into where and when we watch to get the ambiance of the theater as we go into our viewing experience. I actually just viewed it Friday night, June the 1st. I know it's late, but it's the first opportunity I had to go see it. And I texted these ladies like 10 minutes before the movie started, and there was literally like 2 other people in the theater. Well, that grew because a whole group of teenagers came in to about 15, 20. I didn't count everybody coming in. So that was as packed as the theater was. Also, an interesting note, I forgot my glasses case, my movie glasses. I actually have different glasses from working on the computer and for driving, watching movies, that sort of thing, for the long distance sort of stuff. And watching a movie in a movie theater is long distance. So I have to switch glasses back and forth. And so I'd forgotten my glasses case in the theater, got home, found out that I forgot it because I sat down at my computer and I was going to start my show notes. And so I drove back to the theater. And since it was late enough at night, I walked straight into the theater. Nobody stopped me. And I went, and while the trailers were playing, I found my glasses and I saw how many people were in the theater. There were 4 for the next show. So, Haley,
Wow.
What was your viewing experience like?
I went Saturday night, the weekend that it came out, to Alamo Drafthouse, and it was completely full. So it was a good audience for it too.
And Lauren, how was your opening night viewing experience?
Well, I went that Friday morning, May 18th. I went to a Star Cinema, which is trying to be kind of like an Alamo Drafthouse here, but it's not quite. But it's closer than the closest Alamo Drafthouse. And it was also a full theater and a pretty great audience.
And Michelle, how was your opening weekend experience?
I saw it Saturday at 11:15 a.m. and it was maybe half full.
Oh, 11:15 was half full. So, all right, we have a variety of different viewing experiences. Of course, we know that the box office was not Avengers Infinity War level, but it's an R-rated movie, so that's pretty cool. And I'm seeing it 2 weeks later than the ladies did, so that's to be expected that not every theater is going to be full. That's for sure.
Yeah, 2 blockbusters have come out since this movie.
Yeah.
Right. So I still have not seen Solo either, and I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. But I did see last night in my outdoor theater right outside my back door, saw Incredibles last night in preparation for Incredibles 2. So that was awesome. But Michelle, you saw the movie. I think your mom saw the movie as well. Did you guys go together?
Yeah, we did.
And how did she like it?
Meh. Didn't like it. Didn't hate it.
Interesting. I really enjoyed it. Of course, I was spoiled. I was talking to the ladies before we actually got on the podcast, and I was spoiled. I knew about what happened to Vanessa, so I went in with that mindset, and that helped me. Because if I didn't know, that would have pissed me off for a variety of different reasons. So I really enjoyed the movie.
It pissed me off, and it really threw me because I had seen, like, you hear her so much more in, like, the trailers and stuff. So I was like, wait, she can't be really dead.
But yet she was. Of course, it's fixed at the end.
I'm still not okay with it.
No, I'm not okay with it either. But at least I knew that she was coming back, that I could get through the movie and experience the funness of the movie. But so let's go through that right now. Lauren, I know you have a lot to say about it, so let's talk about it.
Okay, so I linked a thing. We're going to talk about it in the news, but there's a thing in comics called Women in Refrigerators Syndrome, and it was originally coined by Gail Simone, who actually wrote on Deadpool for a while and was name dropped in the first movie. It is the phenomenon where women in comics are raped, tortured, or killed pretty much solely to give the male character man pain and push their hero's journey on. And that's kind of what happened to Vanessa in this movie.
Yep.
And it really, really upset me. I thought we were better than this, guys.
I thought so too by now, so I can hope that that mistake won't be felt again in a Ryan Reynolds movie, but you know, it is what it is for this one. So was that the main hang up that everybody had about the movie, was Vanessa's death?
Oh, I had more, but that's a big one.
Okay.
That was my biggest problem with this movie.
Yeah, that was my biggest one. At first, he's on the gas cans, and I'm thinking, oh, I guess Vanessa broke up with him. I'm thinking maybe she went and hooked up with Cable. Maybe she went and hooked up with some other, supervillain. I don't know. But no, she died. It was upsetting because, it's upsetting. It's genuinely upsetting, these two. Oh, we're going to start a family, which is comics talk for, you have just sealed your death warrant.
Yeah.
Guys, really?
Well, I was able to push through it because I knew what happened at the end, because once again, I was spoiled. So thank you for all the podcasts out there that I listened to that kind of told me, so that warned me going in. And I was able to enjoy the movie based on that, but I still don't think it's okay. So I don't know. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place here with the movie, because I did enjoy the movie. The action was just outstanding.
Yeah, I love 90% of this movie.
Yeah.
Just it started on such a sour note.
It did, and it took a while to get over it. And I knew that going in. I knew that the first 15 or 20 minutes after the Vanessa thing were going to be difficult to get through. And I was just set for that. So it was about, I want to say about 30 minutes into the film when Cable, Josh Brolin came on, and the movie started kind of picking up from there. So it is what it is, and you can't change the movie, so to speak, not that much anyway. And they did change the timeline afterwards, which was funny. We'll get to that later. So, okay. The action was phenomenal. I really enjoyed the piece. It was brutal. It was as it was with the first one. So you knew that going in, and they just were able to pull it off again. So I was very respectful of that part of it.
Yeah, you kind of expect that with a David Leitch movie. I am a huge, 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 huge fan of the John Wick movies. which is a good example of somebody not, it's a man's story, but he's not driven forward because, oh, my wife died. His wife is dead. That's a fact. He's driven forward to the first movie because his dog died, which was a nice subversion. And then everything is just because, oh, now he's just facing the consequences of his decisions in 2 and everything. I thought that was a really fun, interesting, not fun. The dog is still dead in the first one, but it's an interesting subversion from the usual, oh, my wife is dead. I have to kill everybody now.
I've yet to see John Wick, so that's on me.
Oh my God. Okay, I love John Wick and John Wick 2 so much. The action is amazing. Keanu Reeves is great. I remember listening to The Nerdist in the second one he describes as like Assassin Harry Potter, in that there's this whole like second world of assassins there, just like there's that second world of magic in Harry Potter. Anyway, that's besides the point. The action is exactly what I'd expect from this director, which is to say, fantastic. And it's something that you'd hope for, given that this character can regenerate. So he basically has no regard for his body. I was just listening to We Hate Movies talking about Wolverine Origins, and I was reminded of just how lacking the action and the humor and everything is in that one. And there's some Wolverine Origins tie-in in this one, which we will talk about later. But again, the humor, the action, it's something I really loved about this movie.
My brother asked me a question about Wolverine Origins yesterday, and I was like, dude, I saw that movie once when it first came out, and I have not seen it since then.
I think I saw part of it on FX once because I was too lazy to change the channel since.
I did not see it in theaters. I do have the Blu-ray. I did put it in the player at one point in time, but I didn't watch it. I ended up getting distracted doing something else. So I have yet to see Wolverine Origins.
Oh, I was so excited for that movie. I loved the Wolverine Origins comic, and there was just the barest nod to that in the beginning. And there was about 5, looking up at the sky, big nose, and then everything they did with Deadpool. And
God, it was awful.
Well, there was some nods to that in this one. I think Ryan took care of that in many.
He literally took care of that.
A full clip took care of that with Ryan pulling the trigger. Yeah, indeed. But before we get to the post-credit scenes, let's talk about the opening title and the credits. And I did not know that they were going to do this going in. I didn't pay attention to it in the podcast I was listening to, but it was a James Bond sort of credits intro with Deadpool playing both of the 007 character and the pretty woman that's
the
usually
Bond girl.
The Bond girl that's usually in there.
I wasn't watching the stuff because I was reading the credits as it opened.
Yeah, so some of the stuff that they said was like,
did they really just do that?
What the
Brought
F?
to you by the guy who killed the dog in John Wick.
Referring to the writers as the real villains.
Yeah. And of course, Celine Dion's Ashes is playing over this. We discussed this a few weeks ago when the music video came out. It's a genuinely good song. And this wonderful power ballad is playing over this. I love it. I love it so much.
The opening credits were after the whole thing with Vanessa dying. The opening credits kind of helped bring me back into the movie because I knew it was going to be fixed in the end, and just reminded me that this was just going to be a fun movie. So that's great. But you mentioned the music, so we're going to talk about that right now. The soundtrack was basically taking a page straight out of Guardians of the Galaxy, and literally in some cases, because there were some of the same songs. It was a fun soundtrack to listen to through the movie.
I feel like in both Deadpool 1 and 2, it's the soundtrack of Deadpool's mind.
Yep.
We have a different composer in this one. We have Tyler Bates, and I think he did a pretty decent job picking up where Junkie XL was the previous composer for Deadpool 1. I think he did a good job picking up where Junkie XL left off.
I love the use of Air Supply in like the Boombox app That was wonderful.
Them holding his phone up.
Yes.
Yeah, just like an 80s movie.
Yeah, just like in Say Anything.
Right. That was cool with that was a big thing in this. The bromance between the best friends between Colossus and Deadpool. That was a good storyline to bring through this.
Yeah, we have Cable's at first antagonism with Colossus because Colossus is trying to bring him out of his, depression, and he doesn't want to. And then we have Deadpool kind of returning the favor after he's sort of seen himself as failing Deadpool. And then, of course, speaking of bromances, so if you've never read the Cable and Deadpool comics, do yourself a favor, because there's this really antagonistic bromance that I was really worried we wouldn't get across in this movie, since they were sort of advertising Cable as the bad guy. But no, we get it. Towards the end of the movie, we get it, and I was so happy. Just in case you were wondering, every Yuletide, so Yuletide is a fan fiction event where every December, fan fiction authors give and receive fan fiction as presents. And Cable, Deadpool, / is always a big one. And you can see why.
Yep.
So this movie is definitely a family movie, which Ryan Reynolds said that at the beginning. I was like, I don't, and by the end you get it. It's definitely a family movie because it's about Deadpool's family. And family is an F word, family is not an F word, and that leads to Russell. Russell is an orphan mutant that is in, I guess, New Zealand's Essex House.
It's not New Zealand, he is just New Zealand.
Okay, so where is Essex House?
New York is my guess, because they seem to get there really quick.
Well, they have the X-Jet. I mean, that can go from point A to point B really fast.
True, but Domino is like, oh, I was raised here, and...
Yeah, so...
Okay.
It's the local mutant orphanage.
Yes. By the way, couple of references here. Nathaniel Essex in the comics is Mr. Sinister, who is responsible for Cable's birth. And secondly, Russell Collins is Rusty Collins from the comics, who is Fire Fist, or went by that for a while, and was usually teamed up with another mutant, Skids Blevins. So, yes, Russell is a comics character, and this is not his first time on film. He was also in the X-Men animated series, where he was adopted by Kilgrave for a bit.
Which would
Cyclops
explain
rescued him.
Why he was so messed up. So, does the fire, is it just with the hands, or does it go up to the elbow? I mean...
He, I think, has the control of it over his whole body eventually, but yeah, it starts with the fist. Phrasing.
So we talked a lot about Vanessa's death. We didn't really talk about how she was integrated into the rest of the movie as it went on. So Michelle, how did you like those little flash mirages throughout the film with Vanessa?
I didn't really care for it. I don't know, it's really weird, and him trying to figure out like what she's meaning, and then he's still sort of suicidal, but not. It was just really weird.
I feel like it was almost only there so they would have more stuff of her to put in the trailer.
Yeah. Also, it reminded me a little bit of Head 6 from Battlestar Galactica.
Let's not forget that the first one was a love story, right? So you have a lot of people that are coming into this for the romance between the two of them.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't kill one of the partners in your romance in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Point taken. Okay.
Yeah, because she could have been a member of X-Force. She could have had agency.
Yeah, remember, she is based on the character Copycat, who has powers. Even if she didn't, hey, Peter's on the team. Peter doesn't have powers.
Yeah.
Sugar Bear.
R.I.P. Peter.
No. He was fixed. He's back.
Yes.
Rest in pieces, Peter.
Now, do you think that Deadpool gave Domino Peter's email address?
What?
What?
Did you not? That was part of the post credits when he told Peter to go, And then Peter's like, oh, would you give Domino my email address?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Well, okay. If you don't remember it, would you think that Deadpool would give Peter's email address to Domino after the film?
No.
See, I'm on the fence. I think he might. Just because he likes his sugar bear.
I don't know. On the one hand, I think he might see, well, let's see what happens. And on the other, I don't know. Incidentally, Domino and Cable were together in the comics for a really long time.
Domino was amazing. If it wasn't for Negasonic Teenage Warhead, I mean, she could have stole the show if she had more screen time. But
Yeah.
I think they both did amazing in this, in the limited screen time that they had.
Yeah, Domino has long been one of my favorite characters in the X-Men. And I am so glad they did her justice here.
Yeah, she was awesome.
I picked up the new comic run, by the way, of Domino. And I think it's on episode or issue 3 by now.
Gail Simone, who we just mentioned, is writing it. And check out her Twitter feed for Cyclops bashing and talking about Domino.
Domino's cool. So is Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who now has a girlfriend, Yukio, which I think was great. But unfortunately, Negasonic Teenage Warhead was referred to as Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Justin Bieber in this film.
Fun fact, Ryan Reynolds was on an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I did not know that.
Way back in the day.
Oh, man.
I used to watch that show.
I did too, but I don't remember anything from it.
It was one of like his first acting jobs.
You know,
That's awesome.
I recently heard that Tom Hanks was actually on Family Ties as the drunk uncle, and I could not remember that until I heard that. So I had to go back and get a episode synopsis of that. So I'm not surprised because Tom Hanks actually was a sitcom actor, but
Bosom buddies, man.
We have to talk about the 1 second glimpse of all the X-Men because Ryan Reynolds or Deadpool is always, can't you throw us a bone? Can't you? Is nobody else in this mansion? And yes, there were other people in the mansion.
They're just ignoring him.
So they filmed that while they were filming Dark Phoenix.
So it's the actual actors for those characters. We actually have a list of all the characters that were in the room because it was only like a second, so you couldn't see everybody.
Yes, I saw, when I first watched it, I started yelling because the characters that I saw were James McAvoy as Professor X, Nicholas Hoult as Beast, and Ty Sheridan as Cyclops. The other people who were there were Cody Smith-McPhee as Nightcrawler, Alexandra Shipp as Storm, and Evan Peters as Quicksilver. They filmed it on a green screen in Vancouver the scene was directed by, that quick little glimpse was directed by Simon Kinberg.
Who's also directing Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix, yes.
Yeah, so that was an awesome throw, and I hope they do it again if they have the opportunity, because the whole Fox-Disney merger, I don't know if that's going to throw the production of this whole Fox Mutants thing off kilter or not, but I hope they do it again if they do it. And talking about the whole Fox kilter thing and everything, did you like the kind of love letter at the beginning to Wolverine and Logan?
I kind of want that to like put on my shelf now.
You're talking about the dancer with the little music?
Yes.
Which was actually the song from Logan, by the way. It was the death song from Logan.
Again, I love movie Deadpool's obsession with Hugh Jackman and Logan. It's kind of, they're substituting that for comics Deadpool's obsession with Spider-Man. It's so good.
That would be awesome to see Tom Holland and Ryan Reynolds on set together.
Oh, I'd love that. I really do want the dead Wolverine statue on my shelf, though.
We'll have to look for it then. I'm sure it will be available for this Christmas for purchase.
I'll just make one, but I'm really bad at sculpting, so it'll just be a blob with a stick through it.
You could probably just buy like a Wolverine action figure
and
then cut a hole in it. That would be much easier than sculpting your own.
Why would I do the easy thing, though?
No, she could get a 3D printer. She could learn how to do graphic design, and then she could print out her own Logan.
All right, get on that and make me one too while you're at it.
Yeah, 2 years from now, we'll get a whole bunch of presents. Look what I finally did.
They'll actually be knitted.
Oh,
gave her an idea. Okay, good. So what we're going to talk about now is Deadpool throughout the movie and just the different things that happen to him. So he actually gets to be an X-Men trainee.
I love the little jersey he's wearing.
The practice jersey, yeah.
Over the swords.
Why do they just now have these trainee jerseys that they're sending them out into the field with so the bad guy they're facing knows, like, hey, this one's untrained.
This one's easy.
I don't think Deadpool would be easy, though. I think they're just warning the general public.
But no, like, these are clearly jerseys they already have. So they're for all their trainees, which means, the 16-year-old they're sending out in the field the first time wears this trainee jersey. And Sabretooth's like, oh, snacks. I don't know.
They're like red shirts.
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
This is the one that they put him on it and send him over away from the X-Mansion to try to be like a diversion to keep him from blowing up the X-Mansion this time.
Like, I kind of wish there'd been like a giant hole in that jersey from the last guy that wore it out into the field.
Is this blood? No.
They just buy him in bulk, give him away one time. He also does the superhero landing again, so impractical.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how messed up his knees really are from doing all that.
Super
they're
healing.
fine. Yeah, he regenerates.
No, I mean Ryan Reynolds, not Wade Wilson.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Or the stunt double.
Could have been David himself.
I was reading about Donnie Yen. And he has like a recurring shoulder injury from doing some stunts and things like that. Like, I was reading about Donnie Yen because they were like, yeah, all the people who do stunts, it's only in movies and stuff. He beat up a bunch of muggers and put them in the hospital back in the early 2000s because they were like trying to assault the girl
we were
he was
just
with.
talking about that the other day, me and a few friends.
Oh, you mean like Benedict Cumberbatch?
Just did, yeah.
Yeah.
Except Donnie Yen did it with like martial arts. Because Donnie Yen's amazing. And he was saying something like, yeah, I'd love to do like MMA or something, but I have a shoulder injury, so I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, probably not.
And I started thinking, it's tougher than you'd think to be in an action movie. I mean, I injure myself just kind of walking across the room.
Yeah.
So can't even imagine doing stunts.
Which is why they have stunt doubles and take insurance out. A lot of insurance out for main actors.
Speaking of which, we kind of forgot until we looked it up and saw it in the trivia. A stunt double for Zazie Beetz died doing the motorcycle stunts in this movie.
I didn't know that.
We talked about it like a year ago.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah, when it actually happened, we talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it because women in movies tend to wear less, so it's harder to put safety equipment on them, and also because they had to find a stunt double who could match skin tone, and so they went with somebody who was less qualified, and because they were like, oh, well, we're in a hurry, and there's a problem with gatekeeping in the stunt community, just like there's a problem with gatekeeping in a lot of communities. And it was this huge thing of all these issues kind of cropped up, and somebody who really shouldn't have been doing the stunt that day did it and died doing that motorcycle stunt.
Well, also probably, I'm trying to remember, because she didn't have a helmet on, I don't think.
Yeah, again, with the whole women tend to wear less in movies because you have to see the pretty face.
Well, I think her, it was probably more about the hair, but
well, yeah,
still.
But
Yeah, I guess with her luck, she could have dropped in on a motorcycle that had the helmet there. I mean, that would have been fine for her to put on. Because she was coming down, she got on the motorcycle after she came down from the helicopter drop and got on the motorcycle. So, yeah, that's when that happened. I hope that doesn't happen in the future, that the stunt community has put some safety precautions in place to look at situations like that. I haven't heard of a death since, but I mean, there's always a possibility of it happening. Talking about loss of limb. This was Deadpool. Last time he lost his hands. This time he lost his legs. So he's Winnie the Poohing it.
Donald ducking it.
He also managed the grossest Basic Instinct leg cross ever.
Oh my God. So I saw an article about this a while ago on how they managed to do this scene. And they tried a whole bunch of different things. They were like, okay, we were like, should we use an actual baby? No, that's awful.
That's insane.
So what they did was they used somebody's kid. Like they filmed the legs and stuff. And they grafted like a 5-year-old's legs onto that. And then they were like, okay, so how gross do we want to make it now? And it was just kind of a trial and error.
It's pretty gross. I never want to see that scene again.
Weak.
Yeah, I guess so. And they did it in front of everybody. You know, they made sure everybody was in the room. All the cast was in the room.
People just kept running into the room. It was great.
And then Deadpool had the longest non-death scene I've seen in a long time, where the soul wouldn't go.
It just reminded me of all those jokes about how those elaborate death scenes are for the Oscar and everything.
Well, he did. He said this is for the Academy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good, so good. So we have Deadpool trying to be a father figure to Russell, but then he gets the power dampening things, so his cancer comes back full force, and they end up in prison together. They end up in mutant prison in Canada.
Did this remind you of Looper a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, the whole, I need to come back to kill, essentially, baby Hitler.
Yep.
Except this time it's like preteen.
Yeah, or Terminator, that too. With and John Connor was brought up by Ryan Reynolds during the movie as well. But yeah, it was the same trope. And I don't think he mentions the time travel trope. He mentions everything around the time travel trope, like the robotic arms and everything else. But yeah, Russell was actually the target, which Deadpool thought he was the target. And
which makes sense.
So I was thinking about this. I think Deadpool was only trying to do right by Russell in prison because he knew he wasn't going to last. So he was trying to get Russell to gain some survival skills and push him away from himself because he didn't know he was going to last a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Russell took it as, you don't like me.
Yeah, because kids are really sensitive and he's a scared little kid. And again, both of these things make perfect sense. But if Deadpool had just explained, hey, I'm dying, this is a bad decision on your part, instead of just being a jerk about it. But again, it makes sense to be a jerk about it when you are dying and in pain.
So did what DMC or what was the prison jackets? It was DMC, right?
Yeah, Department of Mutant Corrections.
Yeah. So did they know they were sentencing him to death by putting the power dampening on his collar?
Do they care?
Yeah, probably.
No. Are those the same colors they've been using in Gifted? It's been a while since I watched it.
Yeah, I need to catch up, and I'm very busy.
I thought the location of the final fight was actually the same set that they'd been using in the Gifted. I might be wrong on that.
I don't know. I mean, it would kind of make sense to use something that's already there, but at the same time, I don't know.
The steps looked familiar to me. The street was a little bit different because it was more straight in front of it in The Gifted than it was here, but it just looked familiar. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same place, and I'm not going to be surprised if it wasn't, because I could just be trying to make a connection that wasn't there. Cable comes in, and it was interesting. It was so late in the film, but he had a big impact on the rest of the film up to the point. I mean, there was the superhero on superhero fight. We just talked about it in the prison. And then he actually admits that he needs help and goes to everybody to team. Is this Cable-like? Is that true in the character?
It always happens. It's like he shows up on his own. He's got a mission. He's going to do it. And then something happens, so he has to team up with the X-Men or whoever.
Well, he's going to be sticking around for a while unless he figures out that Deadpool and the other X-Men actually fixed his time machine. I think that's a little keeping a secret from him, probably a bad idea. Poor writing. Lazy writing.
I'm just kind of glad that he's not the son of Cyclops and a clone Jean Grey who is named Madeline Pryor, because Mr. Sinister has this weird obsession with Cyclops and Jean Grey, and that the baby was stolen and sent into the future to be raised and then coming back.
Yeah. Also, there's another version of him in a distant future who doesn't have the techno-organic virus, who calls himself X-Man, because that's a totally original name. And
Yep.
guys, X-Men is really confusing.
I had this, I saw a couple side-by-side shots during the movie of Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds, or Deadpool and Cable. I had the opinion that Cable was a bigger dude than he actually was. Deadpool was bigger than Cable.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they actually comment on that, and it's like, oh man, he's like 5'11". He's not like, because he's supposed to be in the comics, he's like 6'5".
Huge.
He's a big dude.
Well,
And here
Thanos was
he's-
big. I mean, did he shrink from Adventures Infinity War? What happened there?
And he got less purple too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did get the X-Force and an awesome battle around the convoy. It was totally CGI, but it was fun to watch. The truck, the semi, whatever it was, the armored vehicle, that was just an amazing vehicle, and it was just fun to watch.
Let's talk a little about X-Force. So after Deadpool and Cable bust out of the prison, Deadpool decides, okay, we got to bust this kid out and keep Cable from killing him. So they basically put up an ad on Craigslist. And we get...
No, they went through Indeed or LinkedIn.
They went through yeah. So they get some people. They're comics characters except for one.
Yeah.
So we get Bedlam, played by Terry Crews, who I was really excited to see because I love Terry Crews. And he has the power to control electricity. And we get Zeitgeist, played by Bill Skarsgård, who I was really excited to see because he was from like the Ecstatics run. And he pukes acid. And we get Vanisher, who is from one of the later, like the more current X-Men, X-Force runs. And actually, he's from possibly one of my favorite X-Force runs lately. Except you don't actually see him in the comics. He's this bald guy with tattoos everywhere. And here, they're like, I think this is a joke because nobody's here. We get Domino, who we've talked about so far, or we have the whole luck is a superpower. No, it's not. It's not cinematic. And we have Peter.
And we have Shatterstar.
Oh, Shatterstar, played by Louis Tan, who I was so excited to see. First of all, because I love Louis Tan. And secondly, because I love Shatterstar. He's a jerk in the comics, but he's a fun jerk, especially in the X Factor run by Peter David, where he's dating Richter. So for all that everyone's like, oh, well, we're finally getting an LGBT couple. Technically, Shatterstar is also bi or pansexual. But the whole, my powers are, I'm better than you. Yeah, that is essentially his power. And they brought up on Mojo World, and he's rocking his early 90s look with the ponytail, and it's, yeah.
I like that they several times brought up like the high winds and stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, so they're gonna make a dramatic landing because of the high winds, whatever. Did you expect them to kill the whole team?
No. And that's one of the things that frustrated me. Is one of the reasons why I wanted to see it in the theater is because I remember X-Force from the 90s. This is how old I am. I actually bought the run and all the hologram covers and all the crossovers. Marvel in the 90s was a mess. And here they are, and I love Terry Crews, and I was just so happy to finally see them, and then for them to just be gone. And now I learned that there's actually articles about how they had the actors film extra stuff so it would be in the marketing and not be in the movie whatsoever. And that was really disappointing. I would rather have an X-Force movie with them instead of a Deadpool 3.
I think we are getting an X-Force movie next.
Yeah, we are.
So
It just won't be with those characters.
yeah.
See, that's the problem. I wanted them. I want them.
See, I would rather have like some different characters in X-Force, but I was dying at the scenes where they're all dying. And then when Brad Pitt shows up as Vanisher while he's getting electrocuted.
I looked and I was like, that was Brad Pitt. There's no way that was Brad Pitt.
So the part where they're jumping out and there's somebody that's like looping around in the parachute, that was reminding me of something that happened when I was a kid.
Wait a minute. Somebody allowed you to jump up off of an airplane?
No. I have never jumped out of a plane.
Yeah, I don't think
But somebody had the bright idea of, when I was a kid, letting Santa parachute out of a plane into the mall near us, which was really the abandoned Walmart and a couple of stores. Okay, the thing is, the mall, which was right near my house, was also right by the power station. So we're sitting outside, me and my mom and my sister were sitting outside looking for Santa to parachute out to the mall. And Santa starts looping around like that and drifting because it was a high winds day. And Mom was like, you girls go inside, because she didn't want us to see Santa die because it looked like he was going to blow into the power lines. And I was telling Scott, this is like the story of Santa. Santa didn't die, by the way. Santa was safe. But then that happened, and I was screaming in the theater.
As God as my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. WKRP in Cincinnati.
Zeitgeist vomiting acid all over Peter.
Oh, poor Sugar Bear.
Oh, man. Just the Shatterstar splatting green blood everywhere.
Acid blood, really green acid blood.
So he really is from space. And I was just dying.
And Deadpool's reaction is like, oh, F, oh, no, that's no.
And of course, Domino with her luck power, perfectly fine. Just thinking about it now.
But it's okay, folks. Sugar Bear is brought back later. But this is where we first see Juggernaut, too, in the armored convoy battle. And I'm just thinking of all the cars she crashed into, all the buildings that she's going into. I guess it's just her luck that nobody ends up dead, because they should have.
What makes you think nobody else ended up dead?
Because of her luck power.
She's lucky, not everybody else.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, her luck protects her.
Okay. We didn't see anybody, but it was a lot of damage. a lot,
Because extras are expensive.
including an entire bridge.
Yeah.
So somebody else that was kind of fun to bring back in this film was Dopinder, because all of a sudden he wants to be a contract killer.
Yep.
He's decided this is his calling. And just, Dopinder from the first movie where he's decided that the best thing for him to do is kidnap his cousin. And so that wasn't the hugest leap for him to be like, suddenly, like, I felt such a rush from that. I think this is what I want to do. And at first, he's just kind of getting used as free labor in the bar. And then, his whole, we have a heart thing and a knife, trying to help out Deadpool. I loved that. He tries so hard.
He kills the headmaster with this taxi.
Yes! So good! So good!
The day of reckoning is here! Boom!
So great. When I was, I used to take jujitsu, and I had this one instructor who was always telling us, you always start at kill and then take it down because just assumes everybody's trying to kill you, which in retrospect is maybe not. But he would always say everything is jujitsu. You can jump into a car, scream jujitsu, and run him over, and that is still valid jujitsu. So when I was watching that, I screamed jujitsu.
I have to go see a movie with you at some point because you're just yelling stuff out and stuff like that. It's been a while.
I am that person that people don't like in theaters, and I really try not to be. I just get really, really into it. So I'm very sorry.
I think I would enjoy it because I know you'd say relevant stuff and be like my own running commentary during the movie.
Yeah. By the way, if anybody ever wants to watch a movie like online or something with me, where like an X-Men or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or something, where I'm like, fun fact. Yeah, that is what I do in those movies.
So we're going to talk finally in full disclosure, full detail about the post-credit scenes where Deadpool is going around collecting the timeline. First, he actually gets the time device fixed by Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I think Yukio was actually the one who fixed it, right?
Yeah.
They were working on it together.
And he says, fix it 11. So is that a Stranger Things reference? Did he throw a Stranger?
Yes, it is. Because of the hair.
And I can't believe I just caught that because I actually am watching season 1 of Stranger Things right now. And then he sharpens the cheese spreader to save Vanessa. So that is taken care of. He saves Peter, aka Sugar Bear. Just tell him to walk away. And once again, listeners, if you have something to say about whether or not Deadpool actually gives Peter's email address to Domino or not, please let us know. And then there was the Wolverine appearance. Don't scratch. Hey, it's me. And then he unloads his entire gun clip into the previous version of Deadpool.
Weapon 11.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ryan Reynolds at his desk. Wow, this is the entry into, this is finally it. This is a big time. This is my entry into superhero movies. Looking at the Green Lantern script.
Which I know a lot of people don't like. I enjoy it because I like the Green Lantern character more of anything else. But yeah, so question, if he kills himself, then how does Deadpool exist?
If he saves Vanessa, how does this movie happen?
That's another question. So it creates more time loop issues than...
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Thank God we have a Doctor Who podcaster here. And then there was the song at the very end. No actual clips, no video, but he's a juggernaut. Did you guys stay for the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, did y'all hear the chorus that would go on whenever Juggernaut was fighting Colossus?
Yes.
The
Yes.
we can't say it because SP would have to beep it out. But
Big CGI fight. Big CGI fight. That was awesome. That was cool.
again, the soundtrack was great.
Hey, Deadpool had amazing one-liners, as he always does. I mean, as he's meeting Cable from the first time. Oh, so you're from the future. I have 3 questions. Is dubstep still a thing? What Sharknado are we on? And at one point do audiences say, enough with the robotic arms?
Again, so many references to the Avengers movies.
No more speaking lines for you for the guy at the bar.
That was pretty great. Some references to the Goonies, called him One-Eyed Willie.
In the beginning fight where he's going into the bad guys through the window, oh, don't make me say sea breeze. I know it's a cranberry grapefruit vodka. Don't make me say it. As he's kneeling in front of a guy who he is fighting, Scoutmaster Kevin, as he's eye to eye with his crotch
Yes.
lever.
Yep.
He makes a reference to the Passion of the Christ, which they went against in February of 2016 for Deadpool 1.
2016? No.
No, it's like the historical box office though for R-rated
Yeah.
movies.
Right.
Yeah, Passion of the Christ came out in like 2004,
Yeah.
5. There's a lot of little background things like there were in the first movie. There's a taxi sign that says Alpha Flight. There's something that says Pryor, like a van that says Pryor, which reference to Madeline Pryor. There's a name drop for Jerry Dugan, who wrote a really good Deadpool run. There's a name drop for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, with which Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, was in. Just things like that.
Hey, big guy, the sun's getting really low.
Oh, that I died.
Yep.
I died.
It's time to sweep the leg, Johnny. Karate Kid reference right there. Who are you? I'm Batman. While he was fighting Cable. And when he went in to see Vanessa at the beginning, I was fighting another Cape Crusader until I found out his mother was named Martha too.
Yeah. Cable mentioning that his daughter's name's Hope. I screamed. I was so happy about that.
It was a good. I had more fun watching Deadpool 2 than I did Avengers Infinity War. That's just me. It's probably not the indicative performance of everybody else, but I had a lot of fun watching this movie. So, Michelle, any last thoughts on the movie?
No, not really. We basically covered everything.
Okay, Haley.
I really, really liked most of it.
Lauren?
Again, I liked 90% of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But it wasn't like Human Centipede when it was the rock bottom when those people, poor people, signed up to be on that movie. So we're going to transition into trailers that we remember seeing. I know the ladies saw this movie a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't really a trailer, but since it was a campaign, The Stars of Hope, I want to mention it here. Crazy Rich Asians, there was that trailer. Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm so seeing that movie. This is the first time that I've seen it based on Queen. It looks like a fun movie to me.
Oh, it's a Freddie Mercury biopic.
The Predator, which, okay, I think I've seen that before. I'm not entirely enthused of going to see that. Tag, which, okay, it's kind of fun that it's got Jeremy in it, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. The first Purge, I haven't seen a single Purge movie, so I probably won't be seeing
Well,
this
this is
one.
the first one, so
Yeah, I still won't see it. And again, with the Mission...
They're actually pretty decent.
Okay. Again, with the Mission Impossible trailer, I'm sick of seeing that. I'm not going to see it in theater. I'm going to see it in my outdoor theater sometime next year when it comes out on DVD. Uncle Drew with the basketball movie. Saw the Red Band trailer for the Happy Time Murders. That looks hilarious. Did you guys see the Happy Time? The Muppet?
I did
Yeah.
not, but Jim Henson had been working on that script and everything before he died. So it's interesting that they're finally making it. I remember they were trying to make it into like a graphic novel a few years ago. And I guess they finally found a distributor.
Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp, of course. I saw some new footage that I hadn't seen before. It just looks like a fun movie. So I'm looking forward to that later this year. Haley, what did you see?
all right, I think these are the trailers I saw. I'm not positive because I've been to the theater since then and seen trailers again. So I think I saw Mission Impossible, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Bohemian Rhapsody, Jurassic World, and Tag. But I'm not sure.
What'd you think of Tag?
I have no need to see that in theaters.
Yeah. No need to waste time or money on that. Yeah.
Nope.
It's one I kind of want to see on cable. I remember hearing the story,
Okay.
and that's the one that Jeremy Renner broke his wrist on.
Oh, that's right. So, Michelle, do you remember any trailers that you saw?
I saw the same ones you guys did.
Okay. And Lauren, any specific notes on the trailers you saw?
Nope.
Okay. There we go. So we're going to get back together next week, and we are going to start our march down Legion. This is our year-long hiatus between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is good as far as we're concerned, because it allows us to start getting caught back up with like the Netflix series and the other Marvel series that are on TV. And we're going to start with Legion, which is, I think, still running, but it will be off the air and it will be completed by the time we complete it, because we're only going to handle one episode a week and take a couple weeks off here and there. So that's what we're going to do. But in the meantime, if you're jonesing for other great geeky content, we got a whole Gonna Geek network out there, and there's a lot of stuff to delve into. Right, Lauren?
Yes, we do. You might want to check out On the Bubble podcast. In the latest episode, Prayers for the Dying, Saving Canceled Shows, Josh was interviewed for In Defense of, episode 47. Josh was lucky enough to be asked on to fellow Gonna Geek Culture podcast In Defense of to discuss fan campaigns and fan actions around struggling TV shows. So if you're a fan of On the Bubble shows, check out On the Bubble podcast and its crossover with In Defense of.
We're going to move on into some news.
All right. An upcoming series is Cloak and Dagger. We've been talking about that a little bit, and we're starting to get some reviews ahead of its premiere, and also the cast went to Disneyland.
Yeah, the show actually premieres on Wednesday, June 6th, and oh no, they didn't has a roundup. I was trying to look at individual ones, but there's like 10. And they're all incredibly positive that I've seen. Not perfect, but really good is what I'm seeing. Which, again, has me excited. I like the characters. And there's some pictures on the Cloak and Dagger Instagram account of the two leads, Aubrey Joseph and Olivia Holt, at Disneyland. When was this? Last week? And it's really cute. If you want to see people just having fun at Disneyland, just check that out. But I'm going to be checking this out. I'm probably going to be recording it and then binge watching it later because I'm really busy right now and I have so much TV to catch up on. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that they're doing this.
Next up, we've got some news about X-Men. Well, not really X-Men, about Deadpool. And first up is Brianna Hildebrand, who plays Negasonic Teenage Warhand, what her reaction was when Ryan Reynolds pitched her LGBTQ storyline.
So this has been making a lot of news, the fact that Negasonic Teenage Warhead has a girlfriend. The two are very much a couple. Something Glad notes is a first-of-its-kind moment in a wide-release superhero film. Because these movies have to be released worldwide, usually also in China, which is kind of more restrictive, these storylines usually get cut or minimized. We've talked about this before. But because Deadpool is kind of doing its own thing, it got through. And 2fab.com has an interview with Brianna Hildebrand, who is bisexual. Ryan Reynolds ran the idea of Negasonic Teenage Warhead having a girlfriend past her in an email, asking if it would be okay, and I was totally on board. She had one stipulation, though. I know that when Ryan messaged me about it, the only thing I requested is that it not be made a big deal, and so I think that's part of what makes it so special. It's just mentioned, and it is what it is. I hope the fans can appreciate that about it. To the LGBTQ fans who checked the movie out, she added, I hope that I do them justice.
And some more Deadpool 2 news. This is the article that Lauren mentioned before about fridging.
Okay. When I first saw the movie, we mentioned the fact that the whole saving Vanessa thing happens. I was like, oh, they're reversing the trope. They're subverting the women in refrigerator trope. The directors then said, we have never heard about this. And Vox.com has an article about it called What Deadpool 2's Fridging Controversy Says About Comic Culture's Gender Gap. The article's by Aja Romano, who writes a lot of fandom-related stuff. So it's a really interesting article. It talks about why, people who have a certain amount of privilege in the comics community, namely white men, cisgender white men, don't really have to think about this sort of stuff because it's their story a lot of time. Namely, Reese and Wernick had ample opportunity to encounter this trope, but lacked the awareness to recognize it. As the voices of women in geek culture have grown louder over the past decade, the cultural awareness of fridging as a concept and a widely acknowledged trope has also grown. The popular comic book site Comic Book Resources added women in refrigerators to its trope entries in 2007. As men who are self-professed superhero fans and big comic book fans, Reese and Wernick had ample opportunity to encounter this trope in recent years. After all, they not only know who Gail Simone is, she wrote a famous run of Deadpool, but referenced her by name in the first Deadpool film. But even if they managed to miss discussions of Simone's original list and the trope itself, these recent controversies around specific fridged characters were widely discussed within comics fandom and geek culture at large. So it's like the fact that they could be this active in all of this and still miss out on this says a lot.
Very unfortunate, actually. So I mentioned it before. I hope it's not repeated.
Yep. Next up, we've got just some happy news. Elodie Young has announced that she is having a child.
She announced this on her Instagram page earlier this week. It says 1 day ago as of when I'm checking this. So that would be June 2nd. She says, surprise, my little sunshine, and it's a picture of her at poolside showing off her baby bump in her swimsuit, looking just happy. So congratulations, Elektra.
Indeed. So I'm not familiar with what's going on with the Daredevil shooting schedule or the Defenders shooting schedule. I don't think there is a Defenders 2 right yet, but is this going to impact the season 3?
Isn't she dead?
Well, it's comic book stuff, so I was kind of hoping she'd come back. I guess not.
Also, I don't know when the next season of Daredevil is supposed to come out. I don't think it would be until sometime next year, just based on the other stuff that's coming out this year.
So since pregnancy is like 9 months, and then she would have to recover in order to.
Well, I mean, she's more than, just got pregnant in this photo.
Yeah, she's showing, so that's at least like 4 or 5 months.
Okay, well, still
right
there's recovery after that, and this is an action-packed series, so probably no Elektra in season 3, I guess is what I'm.
Well, maybe, but she could also have a stunt double.
Yeah, she could also have a stunt double, and also, given where we left off with the last season of Daredevil, it's entirely possible that she would only be showing up at the end, if at all.
Okay. Well, congratulations either way. I mean, that's awesome.
And our last story is that Marvel's editor-in-chief would wish that we would all just forget that he pretended to be Japanese.
Okay, we've talked about this before. Marvel's current editor-in-chief is C.B. Cebulski, who is white, and he was an editor at Marvel for a long time. And to subvert company policy that barred staff employees from working in editorial, he had an identity as Akira Yoshida, a Japanese man who learned English from reading comic books and wrote at the same time he was editing. And it wasn't just, a pen name. It was this elaborate identity. We've talked before about how somebody that they assumed was him showed up and they spent a while talking to him, but he was just a Japanese guy. And he did a recent interview with CBS And he expressed that he's always felt a desire to tell stories from perspectives other than his own, which is good, but said that he made some very bad choices at that time, ones that he regrets and ones that he's since made amends for and has been working to put behind him. Okay, I would like to know what sort of amends he's made, because really all he said is, we're not talking about that.
And he still has a job, so it's not like he's suffering any consequences.
He broke company policy and got promoted for it. So that doesn't really sound like making amends, but it's one thing to say, hey, I made a mistake, and to take whatever happens. It's another to be like, hey, I made a mistake. We are done talking about this.
Yeah, it's never good.
And oh, by the way, now I'm promoted.
Yeah. I wonder what Marvel's response is going to be to that. Knowing Marvel's
Probably
history,
nothing.
probably nothing, but yeah.
Let's just not talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for the news. We're going to move on into the feedback.
On Twitter, consultant Black Adam at @StarSable_222 shared his MegaCon experience.
Yes. So I wasn't the only one who went to a convention recently. Consultant Black Adam at StarSaber_222 showed off his S.H.I.E.L.D. cosplay. And he's next to a S.H.I.E.L.D. car with a bunch of other S.H.I.E.L.D. cosplayers. This looks cool as hell. And thank you for sharing your pictures. This looks great. There's a Nick Fury cosplayer, two Nick Fury cosplayers, one of the white comics guy and black movie Nick Fury. There's Captain America, Black Widow with a shield, another S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. This is just cool.
I love how the secret organization known as S.H.I.E.L.D. has its logo on everything.
It's all about the branding.
I mean, yeah.
So at YowGirl_Alexis says something about Tom Holland.
Okay, so during the Tom Holland panel that I was live tweeting, there was this adorable little kid up on stage who brought up his brother on stage. This kid just sort of sat next to Tom Holland, was taking his water, grabbing his mic, and asked him questions. It was the best thing. And at one point asked if Tom could FaceTime his brother's girlfriend, who it turns out isn't actually his girlfriend, but whatever. The first call did not connect. The second call did. Adorable kids, I tweeted, adorable kid's girlfriend's brother just called back and screamed. This is amazing. She started a Twitter account a little later in the day and responded, I was shook. I honestly didn't expect to actually pick up and see Tom Holland, which is understandable. Her Twitter account is pretty much all Tom Holland stuff from Comicpalooza. She also said, my phone's so dumb, I didn't get the notification, and I was this close to not getting the call. Seriously, everything that happened with that was amazing. I will talk about it more at a later date.
All right. We're looking forward to that.
And at Anthony Bachman talked about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes. So at Anthony Bachman said, I love the responses to this tweet full of love and pride for the diverse cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Smiley face, thumbs up, and said, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., have you seen this? This is in response to Melissa Fumero, who is on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She plays Amy, saying, yes, after taking such a great stand for morality today, ABC Network should give us a POC superhero. And in response to that, people were saying, try Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's, we have Mac, who's black. We have Yo-Yo, who's Hispanic. We have
Daisy
and May, who are Asian. I mean, it is probably right now one of the more diverse superhero shows on TV.
Runaways as well.
Runaways as well.
Is Runaways on?
Well, on network TV, I should say.
It's harder to make that distinction anymore, but I guess not.
Yeah.
It was really. Did you guys actually read through the responses? It was fun to actually read through them. So if you haven't yet, go ahead, click on the link in the show notes, and you'll see some fun stuff.
And looks like we had some YouTube comments.
Yes, we have 2 comments on our Infinity War episode. Superheroes 1 said, nice. And LSGRS Low Spec Gamer with Random Stuffs said, I don't understand anything. So thank you.
Thank you indeed. And with that, we're going to move on and clean up the timeline a little bit on the way out. Thank you very much for listening and watching this podcast. We really appreciate it. If you have anything to say about anything that we've been talking about recently, whether it's Deadpool 2, whether it's Avengers Infinity War, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or you have something to say about Legion, please get a hold of us. We want to hear what you have to say, and we will talk about it on the show, and we will appreciate that you both interact with us and watch and listen to the show.
Thank you to everybody who's gotten a hold of us, who's liked our tweets. Any new listeners who we might have gotten from Comicpalooza. We really love hearing from you guys, and we hope that you like what we do. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We appreciate anything that we get from you guys. Makes us feel like we're not speaking out into the void. So we would love to hear your opinions on Deadpool or Avengers or the season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything else that we've got coming up. Let us know what you think of it as well.
And since you've reached this part of the podcast, thank you for listening all the way through a extended edition of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Indeed. Not as extended as Infinity War, but we are extended this week. So thank you very much for listening. And with that, until next time, I am Director SP.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Bye. We'll see you next week for Legion. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2018.